As action in the Mack Center continues, we've got you covered with everything happening around Kent State. I'm Tyler Henry with more Flashlight. We start off with the women's basketball team, who picked up a big win at home over Central Michigan, 68-57. Katie Shoemate tied her season high with 21 points, and Nyla Blackford collected her 6th double-double of the season with 15 points and 11 boards. The Flashes turned around and traveled to Eastern Michigan, where they trailed the Eagles late in Ypsilanti, but buried 5 three-pointers in the fourth quarter to take down EMU 70-61. On the men's side of the hardwood, the Flashes collected their 4th straight conference win against Eastern Michigan on February 5th. Giovanni Santiago tied his season high with 21 points as the Flashes surged in the second to eliminate the Eagles 90-71. Looking ahead, the men's team will host Bowling Green on February 8th before gearing up to head down the road to take on the Zips for the second time this season. The women's team will face the Miami Redhawks on February 7th before heading to Central Michigan for a rematch with the Chips on Wednesday, wrapping up the week at home against Ball State at 1 p.m. on Saturday. We'll have the results from this busy week of hoops on next week's episode. The Flashes gymnastics team traveled to Washington, D.C. to take on Eastern Michigan, George Washington, and LIU and finish with a score of 195.6. That mark was enough to finish ahead of Eastern Michigan and LIU, but wasn't quite enough to overcome George Washington. But the Flashes have now posted a score of 195 or higher in 3 of their 4 meets to begin the season. Up next, the team will compete in Piscataway, New Jersey, where they will face the likes of Iowa, Ursinus, and Rutgers. Last week, we had a chance to sit down and talk with Lacrosse senior Kelli Bailey and take a look at the team's upcoming season. Welcome back into Flash Life. I'm Tyler Henry. We're joined by Kent State attacker of the women's lacrosse team, Kelli Bailey. And Kelli, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So the season's upcoming, and obviously a lot of great things going on here at Kent State. But before we get into that, just wanted to dive into this a little bit. So you come from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I mean, we ask all of our athletes. I know it's not that far, but what brought you here to Kent?
I guess just for start, I've just grown up playing lacrosse my whole life. My older brother played lacrosse. He actually went to Cleveland State for a year. His coach was actually married to my coach, so wow. Yeah, so it just kind of small world. I reached out to her, see if she was interested, and I just took an official visit when I went to go see one of his games and ended up falling into my hands, kind of.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I know a lot of our student athletes, they play other sports growing up. Obviously the Kent State fans know you as a lacrosse player, but what else did you play growing up, and when did you really fall in love with lacrosse? When was it known that this was your sport?
I have kind of been in lacrosse around it my whole life. My dad has always encouraged me to play it. All my cousins have played it. My older cousins all played it in college. So I just kind of always loved it. Definitely, I feel like I really knew that I wanted to pursue it when I was in 7th, 8th grade, started traveling a lot for middle school and throughout high school, spent a lot of time in the summer doing travel teams.
Okay.
So yeah, I think in high school, I pretty much spent most of my time playing lacrosse, but I know in middle school I played some volleyball, some basketball, but it was mostly lacrosse. Spent a lot of time doing that.
A lot of our other student athletes, depending on where you come from, the cold here, especially in December, it can be, in January, it can be a little jarring. But, you were from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm sure the climate's not that different. What have the differences been? What was your first impression of Kent when you first got here?
Yeah, for sure, with just playing outside in the snow, was different. I know in high school, the season starts a little bit later, so we would always just find an inside field to practice, but I guess when we're at Kent, we just find any time to get outside, we get outside. So we definitely practice way more outside in the cold than we did in Michigan. Yeah.
I know the weather changes obviously drastically throughout the season. It starts off very cold in February and it kind of starts to warm up. What is your ideal lacrosse weather?
I would say March, the end of March is really good. April is great. It's always sunny. Sometimes it's unfortunate because will rain a lot,
right.
But last season it didn't rain as much as we were expecting it to, so it was just really good sunny weather. Yeah.
So whether they're lacrosse athletes, whether they're other athletes, I mean everybody has inspirations growing up. So who were your inspirations athlete wise, but also just personally for you growing up?
Yeah. Honestly, I think my brother has just really inspired me to kind of be the person I am today. He's my best friend. Growing up, we play lacrosse in the backyard together, go to the field. He'd always come to my games. He ended up playing lacrosse in college for a little bit. So kind of he's just always pushed me to be the best version of myself Yeah.
Sure, it's amazing. And then for athletes, I mean, have there been any players that were older than you, whether they're players you knew or just players you saw on TV that inspired you at all?
Yeah. I think that living around Grand Rapids, I live near like Grand Valley State University, so we would go over there and watch a few lacrosse games growing up. Actually, my older cousin played for them too, so I would say her, like, just being a lacrosse player there and watching her college play definitely inspired me.
All right. So, you could have taken your talents anywhere. There are a lot of D1 schools all across the country. I know Kent is relatively close, but at the end of the day, what made the decision for you to come here and play at Kent State?
Yeah. I think a big decision of mine was that we kind of got the opportunity to start our own culture and our own team here. When I was recruited, we were the first class of 30 girls. We were all freshmen, and it was kind of like the opportunity for me to start something new and just take advantage of being able to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
What has it been like being able to build that for you? I mean, what are the biggest changes that you've noticed to the program from your freshman year to now in your senior year?
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot of changes. I mean, the first year, it was definitely getting all the hard times like kind of figured out. Like,
right, working out the kinks.
Yeah, working out the
Sure.
kinks. Yeah, like we didn't know like what we were gonna practice in every day and like kind of like what was best for our team. It was definitely an experience going from freshman to senior year, and where we are today.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, we'll have a chance to talk more about where this team and where this program is today coming up here in just a minute. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have a chance to break down some 2021 lacrosse action here at Kent State University. Right after this, you're listening to Flash Life. The 10th Annual Athletics Scholarship Auction returns to Center Court of the Mack Center April 22nd for a night of fun, food, and festivities while raising important resources in support of student-athlete scholarships. Attendees will have the opportunity to bid on items throughout the night and participate in a live auction. Stay tuned to KentStateSports.com for the announcement of the guest host for the event later this week. And we're back here on Flash Life with Kelli Bailey, Kent State attacker on the women's lacrosse team. And Kelli, the one thing we know about anything that you do, but especially in sports, what you do is great. Who you do it with makes all the difference. So what was your first impression of, you talked about it, that new class when you guys came in, and how have your guys' relationships kind of developed throughout your time in college?
I think that our freshman year, we have kind of decided, like, once we were all on the same team, like, one for all for one, like, we're all in it together. It's something that it's really hard to find. I think that we've been through a lot together, and I think that we work really hard for each other and represent each other really well.
Sure. And how do those, off-field relationships translate to the trust that you guys have on the field when it's time to go and get the job done?
Yeah, I think they translate great. I think our senior class and even our junior class, I think we have a really good connection. Even though obviously the juniors aren't a part of that first year team, I think that the second year team was just as important as the first year. They just helped build the program where we kind of left off, and we had some girls leave, but we had the juniors come, and I think the relationship between the seniors and the juniors is really strong, and it definitely shows on the field.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I know there are probably stories you can't tell me, but
Okay.
Of the ones that you can't, what is the funniest story you have during your time with Kent State Athletics?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. We've had a lot of good times together. Honestly, this past fall was a lot of fun. It was a little challenging because we didn't have any as much competition as we wanted to. Like, we just had a few play days, but we had a lot of practices and a lot of good times together. And actually, my roommate, Reagan Russell, there was a flock of geese flying over us, and she got pooped on a lot during practice, and it was pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh no.
And that's something that we actually talk about a lot as a team. We just always refer to. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I know that, again, it couldn't have been easy for you. You missed your 2020 season with an injury, but a chance here in your senior year to get back on the field. How excited are you for that?
I'm really excited. I think that the injury definitely put it in perspective that it can come to an end really fast, and the fact that I can come back and be able to finish off my senior year strong and healthy makes me really happy and positive for the season.
Sure. What was the process like for you rehabbing that? And I mean, again, I know, between COVID, between the shutdown, and between the injury, like you said, you never take anything for granted, but how hard did you have to work to get yourself in a position to come back this year? Yeah,
it was definitely hard. Right after my surgery, like a month later, they had said, like, everyone has to go home. So it was just hard. Going home doing it was even different. Like, instead of doing it every day, I did it twice a week, and then I had to do it at my house with no one there for the rest of the summer. But I'm just really thankful that it ended up working out and I'm able to play.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I have no doubt that you've probably saved some of the best of your time here at Kent State for last year and your senior year. But if things were to end today, you look back on your time at Kent State, what has been the peak of your experience here at KSU?
Yeah, I think the peak was beating the school down the road at Dick Stadium. That was definitely fun. We beat them by 1. They're definitely a great team and great competition, but that was just a great feeling. Yeah.
Absolutely. At the time of the recording of this interview, the season is about to get started. You guys are, really ramping things up here. Let me ask, for this year's Kent State lacrosse team, what are your guys' goals? What do you want to accomplish this year?
I think some goals are for us is to really kind of find out who we are as a team. This is our first year having all 4 classes. So at this point, we're kind of like, we are all in it. All 4 classes, kind of see what we can do. I think the past years that we've had a lot of ups and downs, and I think this year we're looking to have a lot of ups more than downs. Yeah.
Sure. And I think you were in kind of a unique position. You mentioned being a part of that first class to kind of come in. You've built this. So let me ask, what do you want your legacy to be here at Kent State? How do you want Kelli Bailey to be remembered when you leave?
I would like people to remember me as super positive and just someone that built the culture of this team and definitely changed it throughout the years, and hopefully it keeps changing and keeps improving. But just kind of like where we leave off this year and the seniors that are graduating, just like kind of what we did to build this program from the bottom. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll take another quick break, and when we come back, we will have a little bit of fun here before we wrap things up. You're listening to Flashlight. Can't get your fix for all things Kent State athletics? Head on over to KentStateSports.com to get schedules, results, feature stories, radio, and video coverage of the Golden Flashes. Don't forget to pick up tickets and official gear only on KentStateSports.com. That's KentStateSports.com. Welcome back to Flash Life. Tyler Henry joined here by Kent State attacker on the lacrosse team, Kelli Bailey. And Kelli, before we let you go, we always like to have a little bit of fun with our student athletes. We always try to get to know you guys a little bit better than just the classes and the games and the stats. So you good for some stupid questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we do love our stupid questions here on the show. So let me ask you this. What is your most useless hidden talent?
Ooh. I can wiggle my ears and flare my nose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to do that?
I can.
Okay.
Okay. Did you
All right,
see it?
I did. I could actually see that.
Let's see if I can do the ears.
That
Very
is
slightly. Okay.
That is
I'm
the
kind of under
perfect.
pressure.
No, you're
Okay.
good. That is the perfect answer to the question.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Which member of the Kent State lacrosse team would win in a rap battle?
Oh my gosh. I think Lexi Pikarski
Okay.
and Pilar Lewis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And between those two, do you have a favorite? You putting money down?
I don't think I can put money down
That's
on
fair.
them.
Probably because
Yeah.
sports betting is not legal in Ohio.
That's
That
it.
was a trick
That's-
question, and you
that's
passed.
the reason.
Here, let me ask you this: if you were asked to participate in a Winter Olympic event, obviously you're not going to get a medal, probably. But which event do you think you would look the most normal competing in?
Okay. Skiing.
Skiing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love to ski.
Okay,
So,
fair
yeah.
enough. All right. Last semester we spent a lot of time asking, is a hot dog a sandwich? I think we've moved on from that. Unless you look like you have an answer.
I would say it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have an explanation?
I just think a sandwich has 2 separate pieces of bread, where a bun is a hot dog.
Okay.
Hot dog
Okay.
bun.
I wasn't even gonna ask you that, but you
Okay.
perked up. So
I-
it was, you
I
clearly
was just
had
ready for
you
it.
had an answer. But I will ask something equally controversial, and I want you
Okay.
to think very carefully about this. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is the correct answer, by the way.
Thank you.
The hot
I
dog
figured.
thing, I give a little leeway.
Okay.
There is a correct answer to that. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And we'll leave you on one more serious question here.
Okay.
You're a senior here at Kent State. Obviously, one more year on the lacrosse field, and then a chance to walk the stage and graduate. What's next for Kelli Bailey?
I actually just accepted a position with Ford Motor Company.
Okay.
So I'm planning on experiencing a little bit in cars. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck with that.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on the show today. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. You can catch more Kent State lacrosse content over at KentStateSports.com. And be sure to tune in for future episodes of Flash Life. But for Tyler Henry and for Kelli Bailey, that'll just about do it for this edition. That's all we've got for you this week on Flash Life. Be sure to stay tuned next week for more fun and follow-ups with the Golden Flashes. Flash Life is presented by GFTV for KentStateSports.com and produced by Nick Kane and Lexi Majoris, directed and edited by Lexi Majoris, developed for GFTV by Yvonne Korsakoff.